Thank you, Adelaide, for that stirring speech. Tonight's awardees are extraordinary citizens of the Republic, and I'm privileged to participate in honoring them. To me, common cause is common sense, and that's the way I've always looked at it. It speaks the language of democracy. It presents an agenda for the American people to look at and to understand what has to be done. I have a great friend who's now 94, who was the French ambassador to the United Nations. He was a great hero of the resistance, captured by the Nazis, tortured, sent to Buchenwald, survived, and helped write the resistance manifesto at the end of the war about the world they wanted to create. And for all these years, he's been active in diplomacy. About a year ago, he sat down and wrote a 4,000-word essay saying, why aren't we all angry? Why aren't we indignant? It sold 5 million copies in 4 months in Europe. I tell you, there are allies all over the world for us. What we have to do is bring them together. And we have to speak about the agenda that should hold us together. In our country, jobs is a very important part of our human existence. Do not our leaders understand what it means to lose a job, to lose a home, to lose a pension, to lose hope? That's what we're dealing with in America today, and that has to be at the top of our agenda. We have to ask those who are responsible for taking a mortgage system that was designed to help people own their own homes and so distort it and trivialize it that they lost the very equity that they put into their own situation. We have to look at economic justice in America, and we have to fight for it at every level. We have to ask labor to restore its leadership position in the social contract of America. How grateful we have to be to Common Cause for having the courage to speak about the Supreme Court. The issues that we're dealing with in the Supreme Court are the same issues President Roosevelt dealt with in the 30s. And you have to fight it and not pretend it doesn't exist. This is the most ideological political court that we have had in our country since the 30s. We are going to pay a price for generations to come unless we have the good fortune of winning an election and changing the nature of that court's membership. The objective of those who would oppose us is to reverse the New Deal, to pretend that the progress that America made in these intervening decades didn't happen, and if it did happen, we're going to take it back. We can't let that happen. And we can't let endless war continue. Somebody has to talk sense to the idea of, in our lifetimes, for the last 3 decades, we've done nothing except protest and fight, and yet here we are, again, in the longest war in our history, seeing our resources, our young men and women, seeing the people of other countries imposed upon and oppressed by our forces in their presence. We've got to bring an end to endless war. And I say that because that agenda, which defines Common Cause, also defines Bill Samuels. Bill Samuels is the Lochinvar of the West, who came from upstate New York, a little town called Canandaigua that you'll hear more about in years to come. But he came from a wonderful political family. His father was the essence of progressive, independent thinking in the Democratic Party. And Bill Samuels and Jackie and that wonderful family are all part of the inheritance of Howard Samuels. Bill could have had a different kind of life easily, because he's brilliant. He went to MIT, graduated, went to Harvard Law School, could have had any position in any law firm. He didn't do that. What he did was to become a pioneer in the field of holding corporations to be socially responsible. That's an extraordinary contribution to the country. To ask those who have the power and the resources to be partners in our democracy in a way that gives sense and gives hope and gives justice to all of us in America today. He is a person who's been a pioneer in that sense. He's organized, instead of going to a law firm, he organized an educational firm that trained entry-level employees how to get jobs. That's what he is. He's an entrepreneur, he's a businessman, and he's a social genius. He's a person who's learned how to do good while doing well. And all of his time and energy has been committed in the decades that I've known him to this remarkable achievement of making democracy work. The latest example of that was when he organized the Blue Tiger Democrats. The Blue Tiger Democrats, to show you how practical he is, he aimed it at Albany. If you want to change this state, you've got to change this legislature. You've got to draw the curtains so that the corruption is apparent to everybody and it's transparent. He did that in order to cause the Democratic Party to be close again to its grassroots. And then he became finance chairman of the committee to elect a legislature. And for the first time, literally in decades, the Democrats won control of the legislature and gave us the hope that we could change a lot of the rules that had shadowed corruption for so long. But it wasn't to be for long, because the corrupt and cynical politicians made their deals again in the back rooms, and that control was shattered. But Bill came back into the fight. He organized what he called the New Roosevelt. Remembering that Franklin Roosevelt had been a state senator elected in 1910, he used him as the example of the kind of person we want to elect to our legislature. And he's going to prevail. He has already changed the nature of our legislature. He's going to prevail in the fight against gerrymandering because he understands the practical power of politics. He's been in the streets. He's been in the trenches. So when we talk about the agenda of America, when we talk about the agenda of our republic that we would like to build and see, we're talking about the agenda that marks the summary of Bill Samuels' life. And it gives me enormous pleasure to participate in this occasion tonight and to present to him the award for democracy in action, which he has personified so very well.